Alright, so we already covered 1 and 2 step equations. Now we're going to jump into multi-step equations that can have anywhere from 2 or more steps to solve. We're first going to talk about the steps. Your end goal though is still the same. We still want the variable equals a number. Now your first step, if possible, if there's parentheses, you need to distribute, which means you're just going to get rid of the parentheses. We're going to do some examples with them so you can see what that means if you forgot. After you distributed, your second step is to combine any like terms. Now that means only on the same side though. So you're going to look at the left side and combine any like terms there. And then you're going to look at the right side and combine any like terms there. And your third and final step is to just start solving. Just like we have been in 1 and 2 step, you're going to want to get that variable by itself. So you're going to take whatever steps you need to get to there. So I went ahead and put the steps on the left side so we could see for this first one. Remember, step 1 is to distribute. That's if there's parentheses. So looking at this example, there are no parentheses, so we do not have to distribute. Now your second step is to combine like terms. So we're first going to look at the left side. So when I look here, I'm going to circle anything that has an R in it. So I have just a plain R. The 11 doesn't, so I'm going to leave it alone. And then I have 8R as well. So that means I need to combine them together. I'm going to do R plus 8R, and that gives me 9R plus 11 equals 29. Now I want to make sure I combined everything I could, so I look at the left side. I have 9R and 11. I can't combine them together because they're not like terms. Now onto the right side, I just have 29. There's nothing to combine there, so we did step 2. We combined our like terms. So now step 3 is just to solve. Remember, we want to get this 9R by itself. So to do that, I need to subtract 11 from both sides. It cancels out on the left side. I'm just left with 9R equals, and then 29 minus 11 should give me 18. We're not quite done yet. We still want to get the R by itself. That 9 is stuck to it by multiplication, so we need to divide both sides by 9. When I do that on the left side, the 9's cancel out, and I'm just left with R equals, and 18 divided by 9 gives me 2. So remember, our final step should look like R equals 2, or R equals a number, and we are there, so we have done step 3 solve, and we're done with this problem. Now I want you to go ahead and try this problem by yourself. Remember, the question is going to pop up and ask you what you got as your answer. So this is a problem where we do have parentheses, so we are going to get to do that first step. So my first step is to distribute. And remember, distributing just means we're taking whatever is outside attached to the parentheses and we're multiplying it by everything inside. So my first step, of course, would be to do 4 times a negative x, and that gives me negative 4x plus 4 times 4 gives me 16, and it's still equal to 12. So we got rid of our parentheses, we distributed, we did our first step. The next one, of course, is to check for like terms. So on the left side, I can't combine those. On the right side, it's 12 by itself. So step 2 is also done. Now our last step is to solve. I want to get the x by itself. So I need to just subtract the 16 from both sides. It cancels out on the left side, and I'm left with negative 4x equals 12 minus 16 gives me a negative 4. Now our last step to get x by itself is to divide by everything in front of it. That includes the sign. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. When I do that on the left side, it cancels out, and I'm just left with x equals, and negative 4 divided by negative 4 leaves me with 1. So we have our variable equals a number, so our third step solve is done as well. Alright, so this problem does have a little bit more. We do have a set of parentheses, so that's going to be our first thing to do. Now I'm just going to rewrite the first part, 37 equals negative 3. And now I want to distribute. So I have positive 5 times x gives me a positive 5x. And then I have a positive 5 times a positive 6, so plus 30 in the end. My parentheses are all gone, so I have done step 1. Remember, step 2 now, we need to look at the left side and see if we can combine anything. We can't. So now I look at the right side. There's nothing else with the x, but I do have negative 3 and a positive 30 that I can combine. So I'm going to rewrite 37 equals, I'm going to bring my 5x in the front because I'm not doing anything with it, but then negative 3 plus 30 gives me a positive 27. So I'm going to do one more check. My left side, there's nothing to combine. My right side is nothing to combine, so step 2 is also done here. Now I want to get this 5x by itself first, so I'm going to subtract 27 from both sides. When I do that on the right side, remember it cancels out. And on the left side, 37 minus 27 leaves me with 10 equals, and I still have 5x. Now my last step to get x by itself is to divide by anything in front of it. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. When I do that on the right side, it cancels out and I'm just left with x equals 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. You can leave your answer like this. The x doesn't have to be on the left. It means the same thing. Now this next problem I want to do, because there's just a negative outside the parentheses. And if there's a negative and nothing else, you have to remember that means a 1. It's a negative 1. So our first step is to distribute that negative inside parentheses. So I have a negative times a positive in, so it's just negative in. And I have a negative 1 times a negative 8, which is going to give me a positive 8. I still have the negative 2 on the left side. And now I'm going to check to see if I can combine any like terms. There's nothing on the left I can combine. There's nothing on the right I can combine. So steps 1 and 2 are both done. Now I want to get this negative in by itself, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Again, when you do that on the right side, it cancels out, and you're just left with a negative in. And then I have negative 2 minus 8, which should give you a negative 10. Now our last step, we're not done because it says negative in. Remember, I told you if you just have negative in, remember there's a 1, you can divide by negative 1 if you want. All you have to do is change it to a positive in, and then you change the sign of whatever's on the other side. So this negative is now going to go to a positive. So n equals 10. Now you have these two problems to go ahead and try on your own. So work them out. The questions are going to pop up and ask you what you got for number 1 and then what you got for number 2. So again, of course, you do have an assignment with this video. The practice problems are going to be under multi-step equations practice. Work on your own paper, make sure you have the heading, and then submit the picture of your work on the assignment. If you have questions, join a live session or send me an email.